Okay, good morning, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, flight sim enthusiasts. Old flyby Duguid here. Gonna do a flight from Vancouver up to Kamloops in the Airfoil Labs King Air 350. We're gonna fly real weather, and we got our routing plugged into our FMS over here on my right monitor. I'm capturing this video in two ways using Movavi Screen Capture Pro software to get 2.5 of my monitors out of a 3-monitor setup. I'm also filming here with my iPhone, and I'm new to all this stuff, so it's fun. I'm learning. I don't know how to best present these videos yet for sure, but we're trying. So anyway, we're sitting at the multi-millionaire hangar in Vancouver. We're gonna do a takeoff from runway 08. I had a voice coming in there. I've been trying to use Squawk Box here, but I can't seem to communicate verbally. Okay, we're gonna try and do a before taxi checklist here from the pilot operating manual on my left side of my leg. I'm trying to see what's coming in from the tower here. A1. Anyway, start the checklist here.
Gen tie switch. Observe left generator tie, right generator tie annunciators illuminated. Open. Voltmeter. Observe center bus at battery voltage. Check. Gen tie switch. Observe center bus voltage normal. Normal. Bus sense switch. Observe left generator tie open, right generator tie open, and battery tie open annunciators illuminated. Rotate the voltmeter bus select switch through each position. Note 0 voltage on all positions except battery, external power, center bus at battery volt center bus. Check.
Oh, here we go with that again.
Observe left generator tie open, right generator tie open, and battery tie open annunciators illuminated. Reset. Rotate the voltmeter bus select switch through each position. Note 0 voltage on all positions except battery, external power, triple fed bus and center bus. Bus selector switch. Triple fed. Master panel and cockpit lights. As desired. Environmental system. Set. Inverters, 2. Number 1 and 2 AC bus annunciators extinguished. On, check. Avionics master switch. On. FMS. Verify and accept. EFIS power switches. On. Flaps. Up. Exterior lights. As required. Flight and engine instruments. Check. Cabin lights. As desired. Furnishing switch. As desired. Annunciators. Test and normal. Flight controls. Free and correct. Flight instruments.
Okay.
No flags. Brakes. Release and test. Before taxi checklist. Complete.
Okay, sorry for the delay, folks. Trying to communicate with Squawk Box, but no joy, so we disconnected from Squawk Box, and we're gonna try and do this flight to Kamloops. So we're gonna start taxiing down. We're using real weather. I haven't set up my barometer or anything yet, or my nav radio, but we're gonna try and get moving here a little bit. Taxi down to the starter runway 08, right? We've got World Traffic 3 plugged in. I see an aircraft taking off down there, so looks good. I've got my airport diagram georeferenced here on ForeFlight on my iPad. I've also got Navigraph over here with my laptop, but got everything plugged into my iPad, I think. We're going to try and do real weather here. We'll stop before we get onto the runway and do a... I'm not going to do the run-up checklist. It's about 4 pages long, but we'll set our nav 1 radio for approach into Kamloops, and we'll set our baro altimeter for the baro reading for Vancouver. I really would like to get this Squawk Box working, but I just cannot seem to get the communications link going properly. So we've disconnected from Squawk Box. That resulted in a little delay at the start of this. And we're taxiing down, it looks like taxiway F. Perhaps it's H, I'm not sure, but we'll be joining up into Alpha here in a minute. And we're at the south terminal here in Vancouver International. This is where most of the general or GA aircraft hang out. The main terminal is on the north side of the airport here. When we're in this aircraft, you got to get the thing taxiing, you got to really go up into alpha mode briefly, and then bring it back for the ideal setting. Seems to be a notch below alpha, a little above the full Bravo, and otherwise, if you leave it in alpha mode, you get rolling along far too fast. I've got an issue with my rudder pedals; they're just too darn sensitive. Well, here we got this is a conflict. I don't know how you deal with these. Stop here and see if this guy will taxi by us or he's going to run right through us. It's one thing, you can't seem to see these aircraft. You don't know where they are. Oh, so you turned right into me here. So, wow. I don't know how you work this stuff. I don't know how you control that traffic or stay out of the way if you can't see them coming. So it doesn't show up on my georeference taxi diagram, which would be nice if you could see the movement of other aircraft on your these georeferenced plates, but maybe that's asking for too much. So I don't know. You can't see where these aircraft are, or you can't till it's too late. You're on the opposing traffic on the taxiway or the runway, it seems like to me. So anyway, just ignore any aircraft that run us over or that we run into. It's World Traffic 3, which I'm still struggling to figure out what goes with it. I've got a frame rate of about 22 here now, and oh, see, there's I don't know, conflicting traffic there. We'll get a 747 looks like taking off down there, but there was another one that must have did a missed approach or something, because he would have landed up right on top of the 747, which is on the runway. I don't know whether he looks like he's just taxiing there, but okay, I'm on the proper taxiway here, so we're gonna go to airports and get our weather. Ah, man, you just put any effort or touch on the rudder pedals on this thing, and it's just gone. Our altimeter anyway for Vancouver is 3011, so we'll try and set that in our thing while we're taxiing along here. It's just man, it's just okay. We got our barrow set there. Crossing runway 31 here. Man, this thing just gets booting along. So we managed to get our barrow set for departure here. We'll do final items before takeoff checklist down here, and we'll also set up our nav1 radio for Kamloops. I don't know what's wrong with my communications. I should be able to communicate voice and or text. What's going on? God, there's some strange things going on with these computers. Okay, we're getting down to the end here. I gotta make sure I got my 4-flight diagram right up, or volume, or It's too bad I can't get that squawk box. I do have some kind of an issue. As far as go check in the X-Plane log. I've done that, but I can't see anything that's. There's no comments regard to squawk box, so I don't know why it's having this initiation problem at the start when I'm booting it up. So we should get the final items checklist over here ready. The final items checklist. It's the final items checklist there. We're gonna go through that. Looks like part of the Fraser River, the North Arm, off our left side here. Like I say, we're going to hold short of runway 08 right down here, and don't know why my ForeFlight didn't speak up. It usually does. So anyway, we're going to start this final items checklist.
Bleed air valves.
Down here, bleed air valves are on.
Environmental bleed air.
Over on the left here, it's on.
As required. Electric heat.
Down here, it's off.
Off.
Aft heat off.
As desired. Aft blower.
Off. Generator loads up here, about 28 volts.
Battery ammeter.
Battery ammeter over here.
Checking the range from 0 to 10 amperes. Exterior lights.
Okay, landing lights should come on. Taxi light off, and the beacon light come on with our strobe.
On. Ice protection. As required. Auto ignition. On is required. Auto feather. Check and arm. Enunciators. Consider. Headings, flight directors. Set. Prop levers.
Full ahead.
Forward. Crew briefing. Complete. Transponder. On. Brakes. Released. Engine anti-ice.
Engine
Off is
anti-ice.
required.
Got it on.
Before takeoff, final items checklist. Complete.
Complete. Okay, the engine anti-ice, I can shut that off. I'm going to go back down there and shut that off. We don't need that on right now. Okay, go back up, release the brakes here. I'm going to arm the nav, and I've got, every time I do that, it engages the autopilot. I don't want that. Okay, I assume we're cleared for takeoff. Let's go outside and see if we can see anybody coming here. See that guy's runway looks clear. Okay, we're gonna start rolling here. Line up here for a second. Okay, gonna use full forward on the condition levers there, and we're gonna go, we're alpha mode, so we can give it a go here. Power levers forward.
Auto feather lights on.
Full power.
Airspeed alarm. 60 knots. V1. Road 2.
Rotate.
Positive rate. Gear up. Flaps indicates up. Attitudes check. Gear indicates up.
Boy, it really gets climbing out too fast. Maybe I'm going too high on my... Okay, it's engaged the autopilot and the climb mode. So we're just banking a little bit left here to get onto our FMS track. I'm in the climb mode. Should take us up about 167 knots. We're a little high on our torque levers. We don't want to over torque, but it seems to me you got to be over the red in order to get it to climb out right. I don't know. See, let's go back a little bit. Let's bring the nose down, I guess, to get the 170 knots. Let's bring it down just below the torque level. Haven't tried that before. Okay, put the nose down and bring the speed back up to 167, then it'll go up, so we don't have to have the full, don't need to over torque, that's for sure. We're below the red line on it, and we can bring our prop pitch back a little bit. Okay. Okay, just an after takeoff checklist here reading. So climb out checklist, prop sync. Oh, we didn't sync our props, which is down here. Got that done now. Autopilot's on, landing lights are still on, airspeed fine, propeller, we've brought the pitch back a little bit, we'll bring it back a little more. 1600. Instrument area, look okay. The transition out is on 80. Oh, prop sync on, we got that autopilot check set, landing lights. Well, it wants them off, but I don't. We'll put them off. Just say we've done it. And the airspeed 160, 170 knots. Torque, it wants 80, it says. So I should bring that down a little bit more. Okay, now we're about 80. So see if it'll maintain that climb out speed. It's gonna get the nose down a little bit so we can get the speed up, and then it'll come back. Okay, we're learning a little bit more. So airspeed, torque 80, 160, 170 knots, propeller pitch 1600 RPM, so we can bring back that a little bit more to 1600. Instruments monitor. Okay, so the next thing we do is cruise checklist. And we're first point of on the waypoint is Ferry, and then we'll be banking left to go north direct to Kamloops. So we still have to set up our nav 1. We'll do that as soon as we get up to, well, we're still going, so maybe I can do that now. We need localizer 109.3. Okay, I got 109.3, just transfer it now. So we got nav 1 now set for the localizer ILS runway 09. Like I say, it's 109.3. We've also got to set up our VOR1. That's one of the, okay, there we got the VOR1 on there. Go up here to course control. And now we can set the 087 on the thing. So we now have our nav 1 set for our ILS approach into Kamloops. So when I'm a little bit too, not quite enough, my torque lever is down, so I can bring it up a little bit. Get our speed back up. It's around 162, which is within the parameters, but we don't want to be in loose now. Go up just a bit more on that torque lever, down on that one a little bit. Let's climb up at 162 here. So we're in the climb mode, which brings you up at about 1,500 feet per minute, which is the same as when you're in the descent mode. It descends at 1,500 feet per minute. So up until this point, I haven't really been flying this properly with my speeds, so learned a little bit today already, and I like this checklist. Compare it better than the, well, to go along with the automatic one that pops up out of the pilot's left leg there. And we'll get the brilliance down a little bit in this thing so it shows up good in the iPad or on the, and that's the route we're following on our ForeFlight on the iPad. Okay, we're 13,000. And gear up, flaps are up. I should hit the heading bug here because it's I like these 2D pop-up panels. A lot of people don't seem to like them, but to me, it's the only workable thing in this simulator thing, rather than going back and forth all the time. So now, again, my speed come down a little below the 160, so my torque is just down a little bit. Okay, well, the next thing we got to be concerned about, we got to set our weather, check the weather at Kamloops, and right now the winds are 080 at 5 knots, and we're going to be landing on 090, so that's good. Visibility is 40 miles, clouds few at 10,000. Altimeter is 313, so we'll set that in a little bit. Okay, we should be turning left here in a minute. Don't know why we're a little off the needle there. So it looks like we've lost the nav mode for some reason. So we got to get that. I don't know. You really got to watch this autopilot because somehow my nav mode got lost, but we're clicked it again when we got the nav mode engaged again, but I don't know why it disappeared in the first place. When you're clicking around with some of these buttons, it has an effect that it's not supposed to, I think. Okay, we're at 16,000, so I gotta watch my condition levers again, or my power. I don't know, it seems to be able to climb out at 80% torque, same as what I can cruise at, so let's see what happens. Bring my pitch back a little bit again to, can't really see it there unless you go up into this and then my HSI is in the way, so fine tune it a little bit there. Okay, so let's do a bit of a cruise checklist here now. Cruise checklist, we're accelerating to cruise speed 220 to 240 knots, and we're not there yet. Calls for torque 85, so let's put this back up a little bit. So we got about 85% torque set there now, and that should bring us into a speed range of 220 to 240. Propellers we got set at 1600. Auto feather, let's go down and see if we got auto feather off. Where's the auto feather? Auto feather looks like it's off. Service ceiling 35. We're only going to 16,000. Engine instruments look okay. Temperature looks fine. That's up here. Anti-ice as required. Don't need. Fuel quantity. Radios tuned. We got nav 1 set for our ILS approach, and autopilot's working fine now. We had lost our nav mode. Lights as required. Engine instruments checked. Okay, so that's good. So the next checklist we're going to do is the descent checklist. However, we can go over here now to the performance page and go to the landing page, and we should be setting in the altimeter 3113 there. I don't know, I haven't been having much luck setting these things because I put them in and then they just disappear. So we'll try it again. 30.13, enter, and it didn't do it. I just do not know what's going on with this 31.13. Runway length. See, as soon as I click something, well, I don't know what's going on with it. I'm unable to sort this out. I enter the data, but as soon as I click to go to the next one, it just doesn't work. It goes right back to the original. So I don't know what's going on there. 3.13. Let's try it again. No. So what am I doing wrong? I don't know what's going on that I've got to sort it out. It just will not hold the information I put in, but we'll set the reference bugs as is over in our speed indicator over here. I'm gonna change this. I don't like this transparency thing. Where is the setting on that for transparency? Okay, I'm gonna go back now to the normal. That there. There's a problem with loading the scenery package for Kamloops. Well, that's Canada 4 X-Plane scenery, and I know I have that error all the time. I use a lot of their scenery, but there always seems to be a scenery object missing, which I try to load, but just never ever works either. So, okay, we better go over and set our altimeter for. Actually, it's pretty darn close there already to Vancouver. 3013, so we got our barrel set for our altimeter. And let's see if we can go back and get the runway length here for Kelowna, or Kamloops I should say. The runway length is 09 is 8,000. I can't get that entered into the stuff here. I don't know why. I'm going to try it again. Landing page 8,000 feet. Just will not enter. No matter what I do, I can't get that to hold. I don't know what's going on. As soon as I click again, it'll just go back to the 10,000. Very frustrating. I don't know what's going on with that. Go back to the normal page, get it out of the way. Okay, we're 78 miles from Ashcroft VOR. And there we want to descend down to 7,000. Let's go on our checklist here because I didn't do this right the last time. Ashcroft is calling on the approach chart here not below 7,000. So we got on our FMS 7,200. When we get to Duvon, we go down to 6,200. I don't know whether this will show up in there at all. Super plate for Kamloops. I know it won't show up in this worth a diddly darn. I've tried. I don't know why. It's not very clear anyway, so. Best I can do. Oh, broke through a little clearer up here towards Kamloops. Yeah, I really like this aircraft. It's a study level aircraft, and there's lots to learn. It's sure got a lot of. It's really modeled well. I usually start up though in the before taxi state, which you can get from here. You can start the thing in different. It's not popping up this time, right? And how come? Anyway, off the different, you can start it cold and dark, or before taxi, before takeoff mode. So I don't know why that's. I'm afraid to click it because normally that should come out. I don't know why that's locked right now. There's always some strange things going on. No matter what flight I make, there's always something. Like I say, I'm having difficulty on this on the operating manual on the performance page. I just, for the life of me, cannot get this stuff to enter in here, so I don't know what is going on. I just cannot get anything to enter. We'll keep trying. We're not gonna. Oh, now we've lost the. What's going on there now? It's not tracking to. It's heading right for Duzon. I had that trouble the other day. It doesn't want to go to YZA, and that seems to be an issue with the FMS because it's showing YZA like an @ symbol after it. So I don't know what that's all about. It shows going direct to there, but it's definitely not going. It's definitely not going there on the 4 flight. So as I can see there, it's just something is just not kosher. It looks like it's heading more for the waypoint Devon, which is the transition onto the. Well, not the transition, it's the first waypoint on the localizer. But why is it going? It will not go even though I've got that input, so I'm going to just try and enter that again and see. I know it won't enter now at this point, so, but I'll try. Why? Now I'm going to then do Vaughn and see if I can get it this time. Then I'm going to go direct, see if I can. I entered it different. Let's see if we can. Huh. Interesting. When I input that from from Sim Debrief into my flight plan, it's got YZA and like an @ symbol behind it, and it will not, even though it shows direct to that on the FMS, it won't follow that route. But I went and re-entered, as you can see right down there, that YZA. I don't know what that is all about. I'm going to try and delete that now and delete that, and then see what's going to happen there now. Got a discontinuity, so I don't know. I'm going to try and enter that again. YZA. See what happens now if I go direct. Yeah, I think we got it now. So I don't know where that @ symbol is coming from in Sim Debrief, which I use for uploading my flight plan into the FMS on the aircraft. There's some kind of an error there, but now I've learned how to correct that. So like I say, I had no idea what that means. So anyway, we're now 39 nautical miles from YZA, which is the aft-craft VOR. So I'll know next time to re-enter whatever that is, because I don't know where that come from. That happened the other day too, and I couldn't figure it out. So now I know that I think that has an error or problem with coming from debrief, the program debrief for installing the flight plan in the appropriate format for uploading into X-Plane default FMS. So it's all a learning experience. So we should we're going to start our descent at YZA, so we should have a look at the descent checklist and ATIS. We've already set the barrel for cam loops, altimeter, auto feather. Oh, we got to auto arm the auto feather soon before we get the descent again. So wait till we get a little closer here. Flaps and landing gear check up, fuel balance okay, check weather. So just before transition, 18,000, reset altimeter to local. Well, we're below the transition altitude anyway. We're at 18,000 or 16,000. We've already set our barrel for 30.13, which is cam loops. Go back up and check the weather off our flight. Just to reiterate, cam loops, the wind is 190 now at 3 knots. So now it's, golly, almost a little bit of a tailwind, but it's only 3 knots. So the wind has changed around. That's from 20 minutes ago. The barrel now is 30.102. So we can just adjust that, get this out of the way here. So the wind has changed a little bit, the altimeter changed a little bit, but we've adjusted that. Humidity 50%, density altitude 548 feet. So yeah, our wind has shifted around a little bit, but it's still at 3 knots, so it's not enough to change our descent. Okay, now let's see what VOR we're picking up. Maybe that's Ashgrove. Oh, that's the localizer we're picking up already at. So we've identified the localizer for nav1. That's the Morse code for it. We're going to go back over there and shut that off so we don't get bombarded with it, which we do right up here in this, I don't know what you call it. Oh, that's probably the DME going on there. So shut the D and E off too. We identified that. Okay, let's go back. I use this pop-up. I'm going to make it a little less. I don't need it quite that big because I excuse me. Okay, where are we at here? We're 22 miles from and we got to go down to 7,000, so we should be descending now. That's I think we should start our descent now. Change this to 7,000. We'll start out with the descent mode, see what happens, 1,500 feet per minute. If it's a little bit too fast. So we got 27 miles, so we're a little behind the 8 ball. So it's good we started descending when we did. So the descent checklist again, the ATIS, we've checked that already. We've set the altimeter, auto feather we didn't arm. We should go see if that's armed down here. Auto feather is armed. Descent speed, well, we're 180 knots, so the descent speed, torque 15. So we're get that right down. We're descending a little bit too fast here. Propeller still 1600, flaps and landing gear is still up, fuel balance is fine, weather we've checked. So the approach checklist we should do when we're on the localizer, I guess. Speed on the approach, 150 knots. And away. Approach checklist. I don't know where we should do that. I guess we should do that as soon as we're on the localizer. Landing lights we could put on now anyway, because we're certainly down. That's the next panel over. I gotta go to put our landing lights on. Okay, landing lights are now on because we're descending almost to 10,000 here now. Fuel condition lever, they're full. Oh, that's the propeller, higher RPM, so I guess that's when we go on to the approach. We're only in the descent mode now. The propeller is still at 1600 RPM. I like these checklists here. This is one that is printed out from somewhere off the internet, as opposed to always using the one in the approach thing, because we'll just go set it for the approach just to see how close they are. And this surface a little longer, the one in there, but landing data, well, we're reviewed. We didn't bother with pressurization. We should smarten up. Should have done that too. There's a lot to learn. Sometimes it's overburdening for when you're just learning how to do it. But now we're coming down to the 180, which is more closer to the descent. And torque is supposed to be 15%, though. We're at shows 15%. Well, that's when you're down to 180 knots, I guess. So. Okay, gonna get this landing. Okay, 4 miles from YZA. And so we got to descend a little bit faster here, so we can use the vertical speed one and go down a little bit more. Yeah, we're a little behind the 8 ball here, so next thing we want is 6,200, I guess, at Duvon. So I'm gonna keep that coming in a minute. $6,200 is pretty low, so I'm gonna keep it about 68 for now. We're flying VFR, even though we're trying to basically following the GPS routing in our FMS and trying to basically follow the approach procedure for that. Anyway, Duvon calls for, they're at 6,200, feet. And we're 12 miles from there, so we're almost down to that now, which looks good. 68, so I got set on the thing. I wouldn't want to come any lower if you go outside. It's train is pretty close there, so I wouldn't want to be down to 6,200. Good thing we're 11 miles from Dubon. As soon as we get over this hump here, we'll bring it back down, but I don't think that's calculated in your FMS. It's done according to a formula, so. Watch your speed now. It's getting down. Now I should be at the 1,500. Oh, because we're leveled out at 6,800, so I should have that up about 50. Okay, I think we can now go down to our 6,200. Nine miles away, so that's fine. We're sending about 500 feet per minute there now. Okay, and now we could actually go one notch our approach flap here, which is below 202 knots, so the manual, so. We go right over this corner here, so we don't want to. Last time I was down way too low. I had to climb back up because the localizer goes right over there, over the windshield wiper there, right where it's basically where the windshield wiper's lined up. Okay, again, we got nav 1 set. We got the localizer course set. We got the flap approach, which you can set at below 202, and full gear down has got to be down to 158. We can put gear down when we want that, when we're down to 184, but that's, we'll bring it down to 180. Now we're not all that far away, so we'll bring our speed down to 180 knots. In which case we can put our gear down when we want, if we need to help control the speed a little bit. Already got the localizer showing up there, so we could actually arm the localizer now. The localizer is coming in, so we've armed the approach, and we can actually go actuate the localizer course then. And the localizer's still coming in there. Hopefully we'll start turning to the bank a little bit in a minute. We got the approach arm captured, so we're capturing the localizer. Gonna bring my speed down now at about 160 knots. Certainly better than we tried to fly this yesterday, so. I'm gonna get it down to 160, what's it called for on here, 150, so we can go down to 150, then we can put our gear down. That's the approach checklist, establish 150 knots, torque 25, so that's about where we're at too. Let's see if it'll hold 150 at and it does. Wow, now we've captured the glide scope. And then speed establish 132, set approach, establish 130, so we're gonna come down a little bit more at 130. torque 35. I'm going to go down with the gear now. Keep my speed down a little bit because we're 156, so it's fine. I didn't get it up too much. I want to get it down to 130, establish 130 on the full down, final approach to runway, we'll go full flap, not yet though. I want to get it down to 130 here. So approach, establish 130. Which should be a torque about 35%. I'm flying it much better than I did yesterday. Getting that off this checklist stuff here. I've been looking for that kind of information. Okay, establish 130, 132. So we want torque of about 35. Should hold that. It seems to bring it up a little bit. It starts to bring it up. So 25. I can see the runway down there. A few miles out, ends we're 5 miles, 11 miles out. And we are on the glide scope and we're on the localizer. So we got that captured. Got to bring this color down a little bit so we can see the approach a little better. I forgot to look at that and bring the dimness down. So our brightness down, I should say. So God, speed got up again at that torque. So I don't know, 140 knot, which seems to be a better approach speed to me. Okay, we can go full flap. We're going to do that now. Well, not yet. 130. Full flap. Now here it's set flaps full down, establish 105. That's on the final approach to the runway. So I'm going to let this come back down a little bit more. When we get it down to close to 110, we'll set full flaps. 126. We get a little closer in. We're going to disengage the autopilot. Okay, 120, we'll let her come down a little bit more, but I'm only got a torque like about 10% on it. Go full pitch on my props. How come it didn't say that? High RPM, I guess approach checklist, that's the high RPM. Now we got to establish, we're at 115, which is pretty good. I think I feel more comfortable with that. We can set the climb out missed approach altitude, which calls for 5,700. So we'll set our missed approach altitude. Okay, final checklist. Our gear is down, flaps are down. We're going to go full down on them now. Get established about 110. About 21 hour torque. That's bringing it up a little. I don't want to come up anymore. Okay, that's looking pretty good if we can hold that. Full flaps down, gear down. Speed okay at 114.
1,000 feet to minimums.
We're going to disengage the autopilot shortly here. I can do that right on my multi-panel Cyka panel here. Okay, we got the PAP highlights showing there now. And we should be 3 miles out. We'll fly the last 2 miles on our own. Disengage the autopilot. So that's holding good at 115.
Final runway 09.
21% torque. Okay, 2 miles out, so we're gonna fly it ourselves now. I shouldn't have to do much with the trim, just steer it a little bit here. Looks a little bit good. We're descending about 600 feet per minute. Got that X-plane scenery showing up there now. Our 4X, Canada 4X scenery. You can tell by the trees that are coming up. Okay, I gotta watch, don't get, still we're on the Popeye 2 white. Our speed is good, 115, which is a little higher than
500.
Boy, I don't have to touch my torque levers at all. They're about 21, 22%, shows good. Oh, that's holding good when you get her set up properly. Remember to stay off my darn rudder pedals because they're really sensitive. Oh, I got a darn world traffic aircraft opposing, which is par for the course.
100 feet. 50 feet. Pumps full.
I really like to get this world traffic because you're going to see an iron aircraft sitting down here on the runway.
40 knots.
Well, that's my best approach so far. And we should be able to get off at runway B down here. So here's this aircraft gonna cream us. Guess they had, oh, he's taxiing off there too. Well, that's not very good, but that's better than running into us. We'll follow him off the runway. Maybe traffic told him to get the heck off. I don't know how you're supposed to deal with that World Traffic 3 because you got no idea what it's going to be doing. I don't know. Okay, we're come down to just below auto setting there, and we got the condition levers down to low idle. Well, that all went pretty good. I discovered a few things on that thing. I wasn't able to get onto Squawk Box, but we're going to keep working on that. We got an Air Canada plane sitting over here, so we'll just go right up and stop right beside this other twin. Tuck ourselves in there a little bit so we can get a good view of that. Or actually, we'll maybe go down and come around. The other side of the Air Canada looks like a King Air right beside us here on our left window. So we're going to just park down here. Actually, we'll go off to the, looks like a parking ramp for out here, clear of the, that guy might want to do a pushback and we wouldn't want to get away, but I want to get it into the video, so we're going to come around down here. Hopefully we clear everything. some general, another, I don't know whether that's a King Air or not, shitting down here, but we'll just, we're going to stop it up here so we can get a view of the terminal and maybe the Air Canada. We're going to just stop it up here. It's not the appropriate place, but okay. We're going to go down and put our brakes on. Open the window, put the brakes on, go to our throttle quadrant, shut off, go to fuel cutoff, shut our avonics off, set our low idle back up so we're ready for the next flight. And we're going to go outside the window, look outside there, get this down out of the way. And then we got to bring up our Movavi screen capture software and stop that. So I got to call that up. That's over here. So we're going to stop that